I am driving to Riverbank State Park right now, way up on the west side, about 145th and 12th Avenue. The reason I'm going there at 6 a.m. on a Saturday morning is I wanted to get in before my official marathon training block starts. I wanted to get in just like a 400s workout. I officially start training for the New York Marathon on Monday, so that's June 1st. I don't think I'm going to be running on Monday, but that's when I'm going to be in that block, so to speak. And one of the worst feelings for me whenever I start into a new block is seeing that first, tempo workout, doing it, and then just feeling so out of shape. So mentally, this is kind of just something I can go in where there's like no stakes, no feeling like I have paces I need to hit, but I can just go in, have a workout, get some turnover in my legs, get a decent sense of where I'm at in terms of that more closer to top end speed with just a much more chilled out environment. So that is the plan this morning. The other thing I just want to touch on a bit is like the cut that I have been doing for now, I guess kind of the last like 10, 11 weeks. So I essentially spent my entire winter like just strength training. I was running once, maybe twice a week. And those runs were just like very easy, chill, long runs. And the rest of my time was spent like essentially, I don't want to say bulking, but eating at and probably a little over maintenance and following like a very strict 16-week strength training block. I still maintained, I would say, just about all my strength, but I felt like I hadn't really dedicated time to genuinely getting stronger and not just trying to like maintain and not lose everything during that period. So I spent 16 weeks lifting essentially as hard as I could, eating a lot, put on like about 6 to 8 pounds. How much of that is muscle versus fat? Obviously very hard to say. I maintained like relative leanness during that time. So coming out of that 16-week block, I knew that I wanted to like go pretty aggressive in terms of cutting, get very lean. I would say most of it was very dialed for the first like 9-10 weeks. And then I've eased off a little bit in the last couple weeks. I've been traveling, been pretty happy with where I've been at physique-wise with that. As you may have seen in the last video, I kept my lifting program the exact same as I did when I was working over the winter. The only difference was I was eating much less. So that was pretty aggressive deficit at the start. I always like to do a pretty aggressive deficit for like the first 4 to 6 weeks of a cut and then kind of raise calories up a little bit, because I find that you can always get away with a bit more aggressiveness at the beginning when you have the most fat to lose. You're coming off of having the most energy, so your workouts don't suffer as much. But as you get deeper into that deficit, as the cut goes on longer, raising calories up a little to a much more moderate deficit tends to just feel better all around. And then I would say, like I said, the last 2 weeks have been kind of maintenance. So that's what's been going on from like a fitness nutrition standpoint for the last several months. Almost at the track now, so I'll pick up once we get there. The workout itself, 12 by 400 at about a 315 to 325 kilometer per rep pace. That's a pace that I've hit pretty comfortably for 400s in the past. But like I said, come out here, get some turnover in the legs and do that. But before I get into that, I actually have a very fun shoe to do this in, because Adidas sent over a very special shoe, a very controversial shoe. Actually, I don't think the shoe is that controversial, but the stuff around it was quite controversial. If you saw any of the Adidas Satisfy collab, these are the Adios Pro 4 from that. Just a good look at these. So a really nice green. I'm glad I got the green. The energy rods on these with this nice kind of metallic finish on them. I don't know if it comes across well, but the two shoes are actually two slightly different shades of green here. I'm a huge fan of the Pro 4. I have worn the Pro 4 for, I think, 5 marathons, or no, 3 marathons and 2 half marathons. It's a shoe that I have a lot of experience in. I'm very excited for the Pro 5 when that comes out, but the Pro 4 has probably been my favorite marathon running shoe, one of my favorite shoes in general. I did run in the Pro 3 a long time ago. I've run in Alpha Fly 3s in marathons. However, the Pro 4, even having run in the Pro Evo 1, the Pro Evo 2 in marathons, I think the Pro Evo, or the Adios Pro 4 is still my favorite race shoe. Something about the shoe just clicks with me. So I'll kick these guys on, do a little warm up, and then see how the body feels. Workout done. I ended up doing 12 by 400. I ended up not hitting those paces, especially after the 5th rep. Was pretty brutal. A good wake-up call. That's why I came out here to do this, was just kind of get a sense of how out of shape I am, not really how in shape I am. You know, still, like, I think aerobically I'm in a good spot, but when it comes to these tempo, these threshold, just higher pace stuff, I am just straight up out of practice, which is part of the process and something I'm really looking forward to building, especially in these first couple months of the block. This is partially why I wanted to give myself such a long runway from June to November to do this, was so that I wouldn't, you know, enter into this in the middle of summer feeling like, oh man, I'm so out of shape and I have so much work to do. Give myself a long road map from now until the New York Marathon with that sub-3 goal here at home. But that is me done here. I'm gonna gather my stuff, get back to the car, and catch you there. Okay, so beautiful day in New York City for a nice drive back down to the East Village. But just kind of settling in here, thinking more about that workout, about the block ahead, and kind of all the training that's in store, kind of goals I have in general as I kind of am thinking more about training for this marathon, and the progress that I made all winter from like a strength training standpoint. And, you know, big thing for me is like maintaining essentially just muscle mass from obviously from like a strength standpoint and all the rest of it, but also from an aesthetic standpoint is something that matters a lot to me. So making sure that, you know, I'm obviously still going to be strength training a bunch throughout this whole marathon block, probably at least 3 times a week. The volume there is going to be, from an upper body standpoint, unchanged. Lower body is going to be much more, call it sport specific with the running, probably less kind of like hero leg sessions, just because I know myself well enough at this point that I can't recover that well if I'm killing myself in the gym from like a strength training standpoint, and then also trying to, you know, hit it hard from a like run standpoint, and making sure that I'm able to hit paces, hit miles without absolutely hating my life in those workouts. But the strength and aesthetic component of these things is still a huge part of my training. You know, at the end of the day, that's like what I do for a living, right? It's like the strength stuff, the strength conditioning, the nutrition around body composition and all the rest of it. And it's important for me to maintain that in a good way. Mostly I train to like feel good. I also train to look good, and I don't want to lose all the progress that I've made there. And I know that like with the running, most of that just comes down to a nutritional standpoint, meaning as long as I'm providing the stimulus in the gym and I'm also making sure that I'm eating in a way that facilitates the recovery from that work, I really don't anticipate having any problem with that. I may lose a little bit of mass in my legs, but as long as I've maintained most or all of that strength there and stay injury free, I'm really pretty happy with how that'll go. But as I mentioned after the workout, that was pretty brutal. That was pretty eye-opening. I have a lot of work to do, but that's kind of the whole point. You know, I'm not running a marathon tomorrow. I start training roughly tomorrow. So the idea is to just build from this, go from there, and have a really good training block, maintain the strength, just enjoy it. So that's what I have coming up. I'm gonna enjoy this beautiful ride home here with the top down. But I appreciate you guys watching. I hope this was enjoyable, insightful, and I will catch you in the next one. This is the dream. Man, 10-year-old me would be very happy.